Jordana. I am James from MovieWeb. It is a pleasure to talk to you today about Cellar Door. I absolutely love this movie. It sucked me in right from the start. It's a nice thriller. So
Awesome.
congrats to you and Scott and Vaughn and Laurence Fishburne for creating, a really good movie.
Thank you.
So I guess my first question's got to be, you've been in the business for 30 years now. 20 of those, over 20 of those have been spent in an iconic franchise. At this point in your career, what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated? What makes you say yes to a role like Cellar Door and Sarah?
Well, with Cellar Door, I was really excited to work with Vaughn. I read the script and I loved, the journey Sarah goes on. I loved that there are more levels and more darkness than I've been able to play before. So I was very excited about that. And yeah, I think in general, when I look at material, I want someone to be relatable and interesting and most of all flawed because no one's perfect and it's boring to play someone with zero flaws.
Definitely. I was speaking of Vaughn. I was talking to him a couple days ago, and he said the chemistry between you and Scott was fantastic on set, and he called you both very warm people. He said you're a warm person, off camera.
Oh, that's sweet.
But he said part of the fun of directing the movie was watching you guys sort of put on that mask and tear each other apart and, behave duplicitously. So I guess, is that part of the process that's fun for you is, getting to slip into that, duplicitous character? Because I don't want to give too much away, but by the end of this movie, Sarah is kind
Yeah.
of a bad girl.
Well, I think so. I'd been recently divorced when I started shooting. I'm very familiar with going into like verbal battle and trying to make your point and being headstrong and being stubborn. And I think that was one of the most fun aspects of working with Scott is like we portrayed that like lived in frayed relationship where you both have completely different agendas and neither of you is willing to relent. And I like it because it's like not only are you trying to win the scene, but you're trying to win the argument. So it's really fun to spar that way.
Art imitates life, right?
Yeah, totally.
As someone who's been married for 13 years, I can totally relate. All right, so the movie comes out on November the 1st. As we're recording this, it's October 30th, so Halloween's tomorrow.
Mhm.
It's a thriller. What's your favorite scary movie at this time of year? What's your go-to scary movie?
My favorite, I mean, the show I like to watch with my kids is Only Murders in the Building, which can be really scary. But my favorite scary movie is probably The Shining.
Yes.
It's so just creepy because because it's not an outside entity, it's also just you. And so I think that's where like when you turn on yourself, I think it's when it's the freakiest.
Right, yeah, and it kind of plays along that theme of Cellar Door too, with that sort of
Hmm.
Faustian bargain,
Totally.
aspect. And that's what I really loved about Cellar Door is that Faustian bargain and that sort of aspect of, your moral compass and how far you can take things. So
Totally. And if you make a decision, can you sustain that or is it gonna start coming undone? I think it's like if I could agree to it initially and then I would just start unraveling, I think.
it's kind of like it's almost like an extended episode of the Twilight Zone, but in a good
Yeah,
way. I love the
totally.
Twilight Zone.
Totally.
All right, Jordana, perfect. Thank you so much for your time today. Before I go, I gotta ask you, I gotta touch on Fast for just a second here. Vin Diesel said it's the next film's gonna be the last movie in the franchise. We'll see if that happens or not. But regardless, hypothetically, if it truly is the end, what's been the most gratifying for you about, being in this iconic franchise over the years? And, what can we expect from the next movie?
I think the most gratifying is like the community that it's engendered. Like I was in New Zealand filming Hard Eyes, and people would come up to me and they were like Mia, and they felt so familiar, and that's beautiful that people see themselves in the film or relate to different characters, and it's just been a part of the cultural fabric, and so to be able to have that as an actor is like really special, and I don't take that for granted. And I hope with the last one, if it is the last one, that it kind of goes back to the first one's roots because that and five are my favorite, and so I would love it to have that same feel.
It'd be great if they could finally get that female-led spin-off off the ground that they were
Yeah,
talking about.
that would be super fun too. That'd be super fun too.
Awesome. Jordana, thank you so much for your time today. Congrats on Cellar Door. Congrats on the little feature there in Mother Tongue too, alongside Miranda July. That was
Oh,
fantastic.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's awesome. I hope they
she's
make On
great.
All Fours a movie too.
I
That would
was
be
just gonna say I have all fours on my to be read list now. So
Oh, it's so good. So
excellent.
good.
Jordana, thank you so much for your time today. Happy Halloween. Congrats on Cellar
Thank you
Door out
too.
November 1st. Thank you so much.
Thanks.